Hello and welcome to the Radical Podcast, inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root. We explore the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
This season is all about divination, tarot, and the power held within our intuition. This is The Radical with Nicole and Christina, the two metaphysical girls in the material world. Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Nicole.
Hello everyone, this is Christina.
Today's episode, part of Gemini season, the 4 court cards of the suit of swords, the page or princess, the knight, the queen, and the king. For some reason, this preparation was extremely hard for me to get through. I think it's swords, air energy. It took a lot for me to put all this together, but we're going to make it through together. We got this.
And we're recording this right at the very beginning of Gemini season 2, so you and I are under the direct influence of all the swords and all this wonderful air energy.
Yeah.
All right, I am going to get into it. Let's just go. Swords, the suit of swords in tarot, represents intellect, thoughts, communication, and reason. This is the realm of the mind, truth, and also psychological habits. Swords can cut through illusion, but swords also deal with conflict, ambition, and heartbreak. The court cards, there's 4 court cards in each suit. They represent personalities. Sometimes they represent actual people. They can represent archetypes. So the page could also be the princess, the Amazon, the daughter, the maiden, the apprentice. Knights can be princes, jacks, and knaves, sun, priestess, mother, and totem. And the queen, mother, matriarch, foremother, witch, lodge. And the king, the father, crone, sage, or exemplar. Generally going from a more youthful energy to a more mature energy, generally. But these cards are also numbers. The page is 11, the knight is 12, the queen is 13, and the king is 14. Some decks just have the cards enumerated with no rank. 11 in numerology is the first master number. It represents high-level intuition and spiritual insight, often enlightenment. 12 represents completion and divine order, also an element of like spiritual growth and transition. 13 is transformative, vibration, karmic lessons, rebirth. I like this dismantling of old structures to create new beginnings. And 14, a karmic debt number associated with learning lessons. And lessons kind of specifically with like freedom, balance, and responsibility. That feels really King of Swords to me. Right? Lessons and responsibility. I'm going to go through a fast, short list of the correspondences. The Page of Swords, the energy is the season of spring. The element is earth. Page is earth. Swords is air. So this is earth in the suit of air. The polarity for this card is yin. Is this a yes or no? It's a yes card. This is associated with the 10th sphere of the Tree of Life, the 10th sphere of Malkuth, representing the kingdom, and that is ruled by earth. The chakras can be the third eye or the throat. And the crystal for this, I like Googled crystals for the Page of Swords. There's definitely a theme in all of these court cards with their crystals. Listeners, you're probably going to hear a lot of blue stones for the air element in this. And also I think a lot of the throat chakra in the court cards of swords. I'm getting a lot of that energy. But for the Page of Swords, it's clear quartz to sharpen your focus. And I love the tiger's eye for the Page of Swords because it helps with scattered thoughts. And a lot of times you combine youthful energy with intellect and communication, and you can get a scattering. Tiger's eye can help ground and bring everything together. For the Knight of Swords is ruled by, Gemini. Gemini rules the Knight of Swords. I don't know how to say that. Does it rule it, or they correspond with each other? They correspond with each other. Gemini in the third house go with the Knight of Swords. The element for all the knights is fire. So this is fire in the suit of air. Modality is mutable. Polarity is yang. This is a little more projective energy than the Page of Swords. This is still a yes. This is the Tree of Life. It's associated with the sixth sphere of Tiphareth for beauty, harmony, and glory. It's ruled by the sun, chakra, third eye, and throat, the Vishuddha. The crystals for Knight of Swords: black obsidian for cutting through illusion, amethyst to soothe an overactive mind. There's always like a stone to help with like focus or concentration. And then with all the sword cards, there's always a stone of like soothing and calming and like grounding. It's always good to think about more than one sword, or more than one crystal when you're dealing with like the energy of the swords cards. One for clarity and one for grounding, or one for balance. The Queen of Swords. This is the zodiac sign of Libra and the 7th house. The Queen of Swords, all queens are the water element. So this is water in the suit of air. The modality is cardinal. The queens bring in each season. And as we know, Libra is the beginning of the autumnal season, right? After the autumnal equinox, we come into that Libra, that balance. Cardinal air. Polarity is yin. The Tree of Life is associated with the third sphere of Binah. This is understanding, and also the feminine principle can be seen as a feminine principle in the Tree of Life, ruled by Saturn. The Tree of Life is so fascinating with its dualities that it would be considered the feminine principle, but it's ruled by Saturn. The Tree of Life is just a complicated, beautiful, magical area of metaphysical study. Chakras: the throat chakra, but also the heart chakra for balance and for harmony. And the crystal, this just jumped out at me, maybe because one of my favorite Queen of Swords cards notes that the queen is wearing a sapphire, but the sapphire, or a very blue stone for the Queen of Swords. And also sapphire is the birthstone for September or Libra. Anyway, around that time of year. So maybe that's more than a coincidence that blue is very is connected deeply with that time of year and that season. The King of Swords, associated with the zodiac sign Aquarius. Now we're in this very mature energy. Of course, we're in that Aquarius energy, and this is the 11th house. Modality: air. All the kings are air in the suit of air. So we're all up in that headspace with this one. The modality is fixed air. Polarity is yang. Again, this would be a more projective force. And this is still a yes card, but maybe it might have an element of it depends, because this is a very, a thought-heavy card with a lot of analysis. The Tree of Life is associated with the second sphere of Shakma, wisdom, considered also the masculine principle sphere, ruled by Neptune. The chakra for me is like always going to the throat chakra, the Vishuddha, and that the throat chakra, you're thinking about your communication, your self-expression, your truth. And the crystal, lapis lazuli. You combine deep intellect and learning and all of that mental energy, and you just get this beautiful blue stone marbled with like gold and white. And but I'm sure there's more crystals for that energy of that card, but those are the ones that I have in my collection that jumped out at me.
Like Christina said, the court cards in general can represent actual people, levels of maturity, stages of a process or growth, social roles or archetypes, or generations. In general, pages are associated with messages, being an apprentice or a novice, being curious, having a beginner's mind, being willing to learn, to try, to experiment. Knights are associated with movement, adventure, questing, momentum. They can be a little impulsive. Queens are nurturing, caring, self-sufficient, independent, compassionate, tending, and receptive. And kings, authority, leadership, responsibility, experience. They are the embodiment of the elemental power. So in this case, the King of Swords would be the embodiment of the power of air. So now let's talk about these 4 court cards specifically. The Page of Swords rules the spring season, Earth in the suit of air, or air in the suit of air, depending on the method that resonates with you. The Knight of Swords, like Christina said, this is Gemini, fire in the suit of air. Each court card rules or oversees 3 minor arcana cards. The court cards rule 20 degrees of one decan to 20 degrees of the next. The Knight of Swords oversees the 4 of Pentacles, the 5 of Swords, and the 6 of Swords. So just like we did during the Court of Pentacles, we can look at these 3 minor arcana cards and ask ourselves, how does the Knight of Swords show up in these cards? The 4 of Pentacles is about enrichment with an undertone of greedy attachment. And with the Knight of Swords, we can think about the energy of having strong intentions and intense focus, maybe even a little bit to a fault, like we see perhaps in the 4 of Pentacles. The 5 of Swords, this is the card about winners and losers. We're winning, but did it feel good? What was the cost? There's elements of degradation and malice. And so the Knight of Swords, the shadow aspect includes recklessness and arrogance. And we can see that in the 5 of Swords. 6 of Swords, we're alchemizing a path forward. This is Mercury in Aquarius, the Lord of Science. We are in the boat going across the Aquarian firmament, and we can think about the courage and the determination of the Knight of Swords in conjunction with the 6 of Swords. Moving on to the Queen of Swords, this is Libra, water in the suit of air. The Queen of Swords oversees the 10 of Pentacles, the 2 of Swords, and the 3 of Swords. The 10 of Pentacles is all about manifesting abundance and securing her legacy. This is the Lord of Wealth. We can think about how the Queen of Swords is observant and sovereign. The 2 of Swords, our blindfolded figure with 2 swords crossed in front of her. We can think about using our intuition as a source of knowledge, using our third eye to gain information in conjunction with the Queen of Swords, her ability to have clear discernment and perception. And the 3 of Swords, in this card, there's a difficult truth to accept. And the Queen of Swords, a shadow aspect is bitter honesty and sharpness.
You know, sometimes I think about the Three of Swords and I'm like, I mean, it's a heart, not a brain, not a flower. You know, the three swords are piercing a heart, not a different communication center of our body. The Queen of Swords ruling that makes so much sense to me.
Mm-hmm. The King of Swords, Aquarius, air in the suit of air, or earth in the suit of air. He oversees the Seven of Pentacles, the Eight of Swords, and the Nine of Swords.
Yeah.
I know.
All that mental energy.
In the Seven of Pentacles, we are planning. The figure on this card is looking at a growing plant, impatiently waiting.
Mm-hmm. In one of my decks, it's the divination card. The witch is using her tarot cards to try to discern the same kind of thing, trying to be patient, trying to gain a little more knowledge about what's coming in the future. Yeah.
The King of Swords can be detached and strategic. And in this case, detached is kind of good. You know, I remember when I first started getting into plants and I was chronically overwatering my plants. Oh, no. And one of my friends said, the best thing to do is just forget about the plant for a little while. And so it's that sort of like detachment that serves you in the Seven of Pentacles. The Eight of Swords, mental paralysis, indecision, rumination. This is the Lord of Interference. So we can think of a shadow aspect of the King of Swords being cerebral interference. And then the Nine of Swords. Anxiety, overwhelm, and suffering. Again, the shadow of the King of Swords being cruelty of the mind. The hermetic title of this card is the Lord of Cruelty. And I know what it's like to be cruel to myself in my thinking, and that's what we're talking about here. We'll have a picture of these cards all together in our Substack. So you can see the Knight, the Queen, and the King of Swords all lined up with their 3 minor arcana cards that they oversee.
Okay, card comparison. Starting with the Page of Swords, I have the Spirit Song Tarot. This is the Page of Feathers. The author uses feathers for the energy of air. They've chosen the raccoon as the spirit animal for exploration and discovery. A group of raccoons is called a gaze, maybe because of that, the black banding they have around their eyes, that when they look at you, you really see them looking at you. So a gaze of raccoons. These are like super intelligent little creatures. And I think a lot of times when I think about raccoons, I think about how they use their hands as a way of exploring their environment and of understanding their environment. The raccoon, in that energy of the spirit animal, symbolizes adaptability, resourcefulness, curiosity, and the power of transformation. There's also this element of like they have that mask on, and things about being an element of duality about them, about wearing the mask. And sometimes you're wearing the mask and sometimes you're trying to figure out what's behind the mask. But there's a transformative energy with raccoons as well. For the Wild Unknown Tarot, the author uses a family rank here of daughter, son, mother, and father. So this is the Daughter of Swords. Keywords are honest and insightful. The author, Kim Kranz, for the Wild Unknown, has used owls as the animal for the suit for the court cards and the suit of air. And this particular owl is a little heart-faced little barn owl. It's perched watchfully on a sword, and there's like sparkly multicolored stars behind the Daughter of Swords. In the Secrets of the Witch's Garden Tarot, this is the Page of Swords. The keyword that the author has chosen is sleuth. And this has a young page, has wings. It's aloft with a beautiful starry sky behind it, rising up above the clouds, like rising out, up, and through like the clouds of like illusion or confusion. There's a hawk in the distance circling far above, and the page has like a utility belt on. It has a map, it has its sword, it has another little dagger, and it's dressed for, I see like adventure when I look at the Page of Swords in this card, like ready to go out on a quest. The sword is, and the sword in this card is also levitating in between the hands of the Page of Swords in a way that the sword is what is guiding, or what is the totem, or what is the guiding mechanism of the sword, or the Page of Swords in this card, which I think is a really interesting way to look at the sword. It's not actually being held by the Page of Swords. And for the Sacred She Tarot, this is card 11 of air, and the author has chosen the word scrutiny. And here we have a single eye in black and white peering through a knot, a beautiful, knot of overlapping images, overlapping colors of a light sky, a dark sky, a starry sky, a clear sky. And I see I see sky and clouds, but there are also some plant elements interweaved in that knot. The author writes, scrutinize any patterns that intentionally or unwittingly have complicated your arrangements. Assigning blame resolves nothing. It simply diverts attention away from your own responsibility.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's the element of scrutiny in this card.
I really like that scrutiny card and the plant elements, the earth element that the author brought in to that card. There's a lot of the color green throughout the 4 Swords court cards in the Mystic Mondays deck. So there's this idea of the earth element, or a grounding element, being woven into these cards. For the page, well, it's really the Princess of Swords in Mystic Mondays, shares a color palette with the Knight of Swords in this deck. And these 2 cards, the Princess and the Knight, share purple. They have that in common. And we do not see purple so much on the Queen or the King of Swords from this deck. And that sort of made me think about when Christina was talking about the number 11 being a master number in numerology, and having that high-level intuition, spiritual insight, often called the psychic number. That's very much purple energy. And with the Knight being number 12, divine order, spiritual growth, being tied to the intuitive and the spiritual realm, again, that is very much purple energy. And these cards also have green as well as blue. So we're getting this mixture of psychic spiritual energy, divine wisdom, with grounding, with mental clarity. In terms of the card itself, the Princess of Swords, we have a figure holding a sword in one hand, and the sword is curving over her head towards her other hand. And from the tip of the sword, there's this like light radiating outward. And there's this sense or this feeling that the Princess of Swords is bending the sword to her will. And there's also a sun in the background. Between the sun and the light emanating from the sword, there's this feeling of illumination, mental clarity. In the Light Seers deck, we have a figure walking as though she's walking across a tightrope, but it's really a sword, and it's laying a short distance between these two kind of like embankments. She, in one hand, is holding 4 balloon-like light bulbs, and in the other hand, she's holding a large open book. And her gaze is down on the open pages, and she's balancing her way across this sword. She is joined by 2 birds, and there's wind or the air element wisping around her. And there are these splashes of color coming from the open book, almost like they're coming off the page. And those bursts of color are also around one of the light bulbs.
Moving on to the Knight of Swords. The Spirit Song Tarot has this as the Knight of Feathers. They've chosen the coyote as the spirit animal, the keywords of action and focus. A group of coyotes is called a band or a pack. Coyotes highly adaptable, intelligent. They're found throughout North America in deserts, forests, cities. They're omnivorous. They are survivors. The coyote totem symbolizes a powerful trickster energy, being really intelligent and also sly and crafty. There's a trickster energy and wisdom along with that adaptability. This could help embrace transformation, challenging the status quo, finding balance, but also not taking life too seriously. For the wild unknown, this is the Son of Swords. Keywords are forceful and determined. This owl is a spectacled owl. It has dark markings around its eyes and dark banding and flecking on its wings. It's sweeping through the center of the card with the sword held in its talons, with the point of the sword pointing in the direction that it's going. There's a lot of action and movement and quickness and intensity to this card. In The Secret of the Witch's Garden, this is the Knight of Swords, keyword warrior. And here, the knight is riding a winged horse straight up into the starry sky. There's a waxing crescent moon in the upper right-hand corner. The knight is holding the sword in their hand, pointing the sword up in the direction that they're going. The knight is dressed in their armor. There's feathers, like the armor on the shoulders are in the shape of feathers. There's winged feathers at the ears of the knight, and also the winged horse has the rein is made basically of just like light, like little pearls of light.
It's making me think of Pegasus.
Yes, absolutely. And also the Valkyrie, if you follow any of the Norse mythology. And again, this is what I was thinking. Again, the knight and the horse are emerging through the clouds up into the clear starry eye. So again, coming out of confusion, coming out of confusion and illusion into clarity. And finally, for the Sacred She Tarot, this is the 12, keyword determination. And here we have a lone figure racing around a lined track. And this image makes me think of training, discipline, determination, will, goals, all the things that are associated with putting in the miles, putting in the work. And the author writes, Distinctions are earned, not given. Clarify to yourself the importance of your goal. The amount of time, effort, and dedication required to attain a successful outcome should be worth the cost to you above anyone else, despite the grind of repetitive and demanding routines. So it's your cost, your worth, your goal. And I see that when I look at that card.
In the Lightseers deck, the Page of Swords card shows a figure running towards a motorcycle up ahead on a dirt road. There's a bird flying overhead. Its wings are fully expanded, kind of like full speed ahead. Our figure who's running towards the motorcycle has a bow and arrow on his back. And the scene, it's cloudy and dark. It feels like a storm is quite possible. I feel like this is a tie back to the clouds and the weather on the Rider-Waite-Smith card.
Mm-hmm.
And this card, between like the running and the bird overhead and the motorcycle, there's definitely a sense of speed. I get a feeling that he's trying to escape something or get away from something, but that could just be me.
So I feel like the opportunity is within grasp, and maybe it's almost like he doesn't want to miss the opportunity. That maybe he was on the motorcycle and then fell off, and now he's like, oh, I got to get back on that motorcycle. That's kind of the energy I see when I feel when I look at that card. It's still within reach, but he's got to get there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. See, that's the beauty of tarot. We see different things. We feel different things when we look at them.
In the Mystic Mondays deck, we have a knight standing before a pyramid shape. He is standing still, examining his sword. He's wearing armor. An upward triangle can be indicative of the fire or air element or the divine masculine, divine yang energy. And again, like with the green on this card, there's also blue and purple, but the green in combination with the knight standing still feels like a lot more of a grounded interpretation than the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, which conveys swiftness and rapid movement. This card has a lot more grounded stillness to me, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. I almost feel like the knight is looking for their reflection in the sword somehow.
Ooh.
Which is
kind
of tied
or like
to
he's
me,
making a study of it.
Yeah. Like when the runner was doing the self-discipline and like their goals of running the track. And then it's sort of like, is that what that knight is doing? Is sort of like, what do I want? What am I doing? Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Queen of Swords. For the Spirit Song Tarot, it is the Queen of Feathers. The author has chosen a bat as the spirit totem or spirit animal with the keywords of perception and truth. A group of bats most often is called a colony. Bats are the only mammals capable of true flight. There's over 1,500 species, making up over like 20% of all mammal types. I didn't know there were so many different kinds of bats out there in the world.
Wow.
They're essential. They're essential for ecosystems. They eat mosquitoes. They pollinate plants. Then, you take into account their ability to use echolocation. And I remember talking about bats for something else. And the reason why, it was for the hanged one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why do they hang upside down? Why is that? It's because they fall into flight because of the way that their skeletons have formed, because of the shape of their hind legs. The most effective way for them to fly is to fall, and then they fly. The bat as a spirit animal symbolizes deep transformation, rebirth, and bats generally always intuition and seeing things in a different way, or the ability to see through illusion or to see through confusion, through the darkness, through uncertainty. As a totem, it is for overcoming fears, shedding old habits, and embracing major life changes. Trust your inner voice, and heightened perception, again, is another element of spirit animal or totem energy of bats, is increased intuition, increased perception. The author writes in their book, with sharp perception, bats' keen radar cuts through that which is hidden. A mistress of the naked truth, she doesn't stand for being fooled. She's gained spiritual depths through struggles and is objective and rational in her approach. Dashing wherever she needs to go, she isn't afraid of the darkness.
I like it.
For the Wild Unknown Tarot, it's the Mother of Swords, keywords sharp and perspective. The owl, this is a snowy owl perched on the hilt of a downward pointing sword. Calm eyes, a white face, beautiful black and white flecking throughout the feathers of its body. It feels very perceptive, the way the owl is just gazing straight at you. In The Secrets of the Witch's Garden, this is the Queen of Swords, and I love this. The keyword here is author. Here, the queen is standing on a windy autumnal hillside. I say autumnal because the trees around her are losing their leaves in the wind. There's an element of wind here in the billowing of her blue gown, of her blue gauzy cape. She has a crown made of butterfly shapes. She's got a sapphire stone right at her throat, or in between her throat and heart chakra. She has gloved hands, blue gloves to protect her sensitive touch, but a crow is about to land lightly into her palm. And the crow or raven are messengers. She's receiving, or is she sending a message? Maybe she's like, go with my message. And she is also holding her sword pointed straight down into the earth. The Sacred She Tarot has this as 13 of air, the keyword perfection. I first looked at this and I just saw a documentary on the bust of Nefertiti. So I recognized it as soon as I saw it. But that's only because I just saw a National Geographic documentary, and just the incredible beauty and symmetry of the bust, of the creation of this human face, and the beauty and balance of it. And then overlaid on top of that, the author has like gears, geometric symbols, almost like a machinery or a schematic of mechanics overlaid on top of this very organic, natural, flowy, harmony, beautiful face. So kind of a like man-made versus sort of like nature made, I guess.
In the Lightseers deck, the Queen of Swords, I love this card so much. The Queen sits atop one of her, what to me looks like one of her castle pillars. And she's gazing out over the terrain below. Her expression is calm, observant, and self-assured. There's a blue flag with the air element symbol flying in the air, as well as a bird that's kind of flying even higher because it's a little smaller, a little more distant. Our Queen of Swords is wearing black sandals ripped jeans, and a leather jacket. I love it. She has her sword by her side, and from where she's sitting, she has a, no pun intended, bird's eye view of everything below her. And as such, I mean, she really has this air of being, haha, no pun intended again, of being pretty unbothered.
Mm-hmm.
And we see more of the air element, not just in the blue sky, but we see the wind blowing through her hair. It's just a really beautiful card. In Mystic Mondays, the color scheme sort of shifts. We don't have that purple anymore. We have this kind of icy blue mixed with some darker blue and some greens. There are two kind of icy pyramids in the background. There's some light emanating above the queen's head and below her feet. It feels like these light emanations form a path towards the pyramids and then sort of above them. And the queen in one hand is holding a sword. It's pointed more downward, but not straight down. And then her other hand is raised in sort of like a stop gesture, which is a little different than the Rider-Waite-Smith queen. I have read that the queen in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is like inviting truth. Her hand is more open and receptive. I see the Mystic Mondays queen a little bit differently, perhaps a little more boundaried, maybe a little bit more protective of her peace. And the light blue that's prominent in this card conveys clarity, calm, ease, confidence, truth, knowledge, and communication.
The King of Swords. The Spirit Song Tarot has this as the King of Feathers. They have chosen the lion as the spirit animal and the keywords of logic and justice. A group of lions is called a pride. And these are highly sociable big cats. You know what's interesting about a lion's roar? That it can be heard like 5 miles away. And it's how they communicate to mark territory. Have you ever been in a zoo or like in a space where there were lions doing their roars? Or I have a very, very keen memory of being in a zoo somewhere sometime where a lion was doing like their deep roar, and I felt it like in my lungs. It was so moving. And the lion as a spirit animal itself symbolizes immense strength, courage, leadership. It acts as a guide to embody confidence, assert authority, and it's kingly and protective and noble. And this, as a spirit animal, I think about the strength card, right? Just that ability to not only possess and to hold strength, but also more importantly, to gauge how much strength you need to use for every situation. And that in itself is the true nature of strength, is gauging how much strength to use. For the Wild Unknown Tarot is the Father of Swords, keywords fair and analytical. And this owl is a large, sharp-eyed, I mean, look at the eyes on this owl, and this is a great horned owl. Those eyes are so sharp and intense, and then they're highlighted by these spikes of feathers coming out on either side of the owl's head to make that gaze feel even more directed, even more focused. And here the owl is holding a rainbow colored sword across its body, with the point of the sword pointing upward towards the upper right hand corner of the card. For the Secrets of the Witch's Garden Tarot, this is the King of Swords. Keyword here is intellectual. Here, the king is sitting on a throne of, I wrote the word carved stone, but it doesn't feel very, it feels like an ancient stone. It doesn't feel like a sharply carved, intricate stone. It's more like the stones that have been worn down through time and life and experience, which matches the mature, I almost said mature and complicated mental energy of the King of Swords. But the throne, it feels like, is placed among the clouds. The clear, starry sky is behind the king. There is and that is a snowy owl perched on the left-hand corner of the king's throne. The snowy owl and the king are looking right at you as the viewer of the card. The king is holding an open book and with one hand, and a sword pointed straight up towards the sky in his other hand. The butterfly crown matches the Queen of Swords in this deck, and also the blue of the king's cape matches the blue of the queen's gown. There is a connection between the two. For the sacred she, this is the 14 of air, and it's the keyword is power. And here we have, okay, so it's a power suit. A jeweled hilt of the sword is at the necktie, and the necktie is a sword with the sword pointing down, and there's an outline in red of a city. I don't know if that's a specific city. I don't know skylines well enough, and I didn't look it up, but a city, and there's like a red tinge at the bottom of that necktie sword. The author writes in their guidebook here, developing inner authority is the only effective way to deal with those who attempt to impose their power on you. Rather than meeting them on their terms, direct your attention towards strengthening what gives your life meaning and purpose. I feel like the author is asking us to reflect on our relationship to power. But yeah, that's an interesting card.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of feelings, a lot of images when I look at that card.
In the Lightseers deck, the King of Swords figure sits atop a mountain. He is surrounded by what I call prairie flowers, a lot of colorful wildflowers. There's an owl, a bat, a dragonfly, and a crow.
Tickled owl. I know all about owls now after after researching all the types of owls. I love that both one of my kings and one of your kings have an owl. Two of my kings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, owls and swords go together, right?
This king has two swords. One is behind him in the ground. The other he holds in his left hand, and it's gently resting across one of his legs. He is also wearing jeans, boots, and a black vest with feather on both shoulders, almost like he has a set of wings. And then he also has a bracelet with two owl feathers. And to me, this conveys wisdom. And I love that the winged creatures are at rest around him. They look very comfortable in his presence. So that to me conveys a sense of safety. In the Mystic Mondays deck, we have a figure wearing some armor. I kind of can't tell, like, I kind of get like a shirtless vibe with like some armor. Our king in this card is holding a sword, and he's standing in front of like an icy formation of sorts. In the distance, we have two mountains, and these have stripes of orange and purple running through them. Purple can also convey independence and power, and orange can symbolize self-control, order, confidence, and achievement. And just like the other three court cards in this suit, there is a fair amount of green. Also dark blue. and dark blue can symbolize sovereignty and leadership. I have a little story of these 4 court cards, and I made this story using quotes from various guidebooks that I have. The Zodiac Tarot guidebook says the page is a student, an investigator, a person who is passionate about research and mental inquiry. Mystic Mondays tells us that the knight's strong intentions and intense focus forge the path ahead. The Muse Tarot says the queen, in the wake of a million fluttering clouds, always seeks the path rooted in truth, integrity, honesty, and gentle knowing. And then the Zodiac Tarot says the king is a communicator, a strategist, the one who knows how to find unexpected solutions to problems that seem insurmountable. And we'll do our collection of words now. Page of Swords, carrying a message associated with intellect, communication, quick thinking, and logic. Curious, inquisitive, intrigue. And I sort of thought about the buzzing springtime energy.
Mm-hmm.
Our Knight of Swords, rapid, quick, swift, sudden energy. Ambition, leadership, determination. Assertive, confident, persuasive. Heroic, courageous, and brave. Versatile, skillful, clever. The Queen of Swords, associated with discernment, wisdom, integrity, clarity, fairness. She is perceptive, observant, meticulous, honest, direct, realistic, and straightforward. Graceful, sovereign, autonomous, and independent. The King of Swords, he can be detached as it pertains to intellectual problem solving. He's strategic, shows strength in mental and intellectual areas. He is precise, impartial, unbiased, objective. He scrutinizes. The king is cerebral, research and knowledge oriented, analytical, decisive, and values structure, order, and rules. And he is authoritative and principled. In reverse, the Page of Swords can be mental overwhelm or brainstorms. It can be about suspicion, cunning, deceit, furtiveness, hypocrisy, manipulation. It can also be nervous, unsettled, frenetic, or scattered energy. It could also be the idea of all talk and no action, or making promises you cannot keep.
In the Secret of the Witch's Garden, they offer questions. When you get this card as a reverse, ask this question to help you write the reversal. And the question for this card is, what must be revealed?
The Knight of Swords in reverse is impulsive, restless, unfocused, or reckless energy. It can be overbearing, domineering, or intense. Arrogant, argumentative, unpredictable, too much quickness, or losing momentum.
The question here to write this reversal, what action is required?
The Queen of Swords in reversed can be critical, bitter, cold, sharp, sarcastic, judgmental, or detached.
The question to write the reversal here, how can I invoke beauty through words?
And the King of Swords in reverse, intolerance, cruelty. It can be calculating, manipulative, controlling, selfish, abusing power, or superiority.
And the question to write the reversal, what do I know?
I am using Love Your Inner Goddess, Oracle Deck and Guidebook by Alana Fairchild for the messages from the universe today. It was another episode where I just felt like we needed some goddess energy to balance out all the air.
Swords are air. That's a yang energy. It's projective, it's forceful, it is movement. So there is a lot of yang energy mixed in here, especially when we're in like the 11, 12, 13, and 14 of that energy.
Mm-hmm. So I chose 2 cards from this deck. So choose card A or B. And the first card is Finch Spirit Guide. It's a good time to experiment with how to best care for your mind, body, and soul. It's not about being perfect, it's about finding what works for you. You are in a phase of your life where giving back to yourself is important. Perhaps you've been sharing a lot of yourself with others, have come through a challenging time, or in the near future will be stepping up in a new way to share more creative energy and soul fire than ever before. All that you need to know now is that it is the right time to take extra special care of you. Sacred ritual. Here is an opportunity to express the truths of your heart. Write a love letter to yourself or to another or to the universe. You can express your gratitude as you acknowledge your innermost feelings. Let your love letter be truly loving, for this is a creative expression to attract even more love and beauty into your world. And the second card, Paeonia. You are now being blessed with prosperity, abundance, and creativity. To enhance this time of joy and amplify your experience of grace, practice gratitude. Simply be happy for what you have and what is being given to you. The universe loves to keep on giving to those who are grateful and happy to receive and who give back to life from a heart with gratitude and a positive attitude. This is such a healing time for you. The healer within is awakening, and your ability to give and receive healing energy is becoming more powerful. Your soul connection to animals, plants, and crystals will support your healing and increase your energy to attract and create positive life situations for yourself and others. Sacred ritual. If you can listen to nature sounds, alive and in the moment, or through music, do that now. Close your eyes and really listen. Your soul can hear fairies speaking within the sounds of nature. They whisper and sing of magic and beauty and grace to enter the world. Feel gratitude in your heart for these beautiful blessings and imagine them filling your hearts and the hearts of all beings. Thank you, universe, and thank you, goddesses.
Thank you, universe. I love the thought of writing yourself a letter, especially during this time of very intense sword mental energy.
Yeah. I mean, that feels like the fusion of air and the grounding that I saw in my decks. It's a great way to fuse those two together.
And the hands associated with the heart chakra, an extension of the heart chakra that could connect to that balance and that expression of what's being held there, which can always help with excess mental energy.
Yeah.
Listeners, you could also record a podcast that helps with expressing mental energy as well, and sometimes building more mental energy.
Well, speaking of that, next week we are back with Mercury, the planet Mercury, domiciled in Gemini. So until then, listeners, thank you, and we love you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. The Radical Podcast is created and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music. Stay in touch with us at linktr.ee/theradicalpodnc.